Okay, so there was actually a very cool decision that came out this week that was a victory, not just for the Second Amendment, but especially for the First Amendment, really. This was Junior Sports Magazine versus Bonta. And basically what happened was California passed AB 2571, which broadly restricts firearm advertising and marketing, especially to minors. So if you were putting out some kind of advertisement that, hey, we're having an educational class designed for kids or teens, this made it illegal. It actually had some pretty serious fines if you violated this. So Junior Sports Magazine said, hey, this isn't right. We're going to sue. And, there are a lot of junior classes for teens, for Boy Scouts, for kids, safety classes, proficiency classes. There are a lot of educational classes for regarding firearms for minors. So this really, truly affected people. And a lot of the organizations that put these classes on certainly can't afford hefty fines from the state of California.
No.
So they took it to court, did a great job. The Ninth Circuit previously ruled that AB 2571 violated the First Amendment's commercial speech protections. So Junior Sports Magazine versus Bonta, it said, hey, you know what? You guys are covered under the commercial speech protections. So as long as, a commercial entity is doing something, they have free speech in order to advertise what they're doing. On remand, the district court actually enjoined just the advertising prohibition, but allowed enforcement of the data collection prohibition. So there were two pieces to this. There was a, hey, come to our class. And then there was a, hey, give us your email address or your phone number so that we can keep you updated on what's going on with our classes and that sort of thing. So the data collection prohibition actually barred using minors' personal information for marketing, which is really broad. It could just have been as simple as an email list. Hey, if you want to be on our email list, you can be.
Right.
So rejecting that partial relief as an abuse of discretion, the appellate court clarified that the same constitutional defects apply to both subsections, since subsection B also imposes a content-based restriction on speech. So the court reversed and directed a full preliminary injunction against the entire section of code, penal code that is, of AB 2571, which was Penal Code 22949.80 for those of you who are particularly interested in reading the entire code. It enjoined enforcement of both advertising and data collection prohibitions. Now, I want to read you a couple of quotes on this from a Judge Van Dyke. He was a part of this decision. You may remember Judge Van Dyke, who made a video a couple of months ago explaining that the judges on the Ninth Circuit Court, or at least too many of them, didn't truly understand firearm. The video went viral and everybody reported on it. Clearly, Judge Van Dyke understands the Second Amendment. So let me give you a couple of quotes from the decision here. Quote, California wants to legislate views about firearms, end quote. In this, he really underscores that AB 2751 selectively targets speech that promotes lawful gun use among minors, and it's favoring certain viewpoints. That's why this is really a First Amendment case. It certainly involves the Second Amendment, but they were limiting, government was limiting speech that they didn't approve of. Next quote. Quote, certain speakers, firearm industry members, who want to promote the sale of firearms to minors, however, are silenced. So Van Dyke emphasized that the statute imposes a viewpoint-based restriction by selectively silencing one side of the debate. Quote, I write separately to emphasize that laws like AB 2751, which attempt to use the coercive power of the state to eliminate a viewpoint from public discourse, deserve strict scrutiny end quote. So here he is insisting that the nature of this viewpoint discrimination in commercial speech warrants the highest level of constitutional scrutiny. I feel that that last quote really encapsulate best exactly why they ruled against this. So in essence, what's going on is the restrictions that the state of California had on advertising classes, safety classes, products, proficiency, safety, all these other things to minors has been struck down and ruled against. And that is a huge victory, not just for the First Amendment, but the Second Amendment as well.
Definitely. I'm excited for this change for sure. One of the things that A Girl and a Gun and my chapter used to advertise was like a mommy and me class for gun safety. And so we really took all of that, basically all of our, minor focused curriculum off of the table when this passed, and we stopped advertising that we allow, minors at our events, and that as long as you have a guardian with you, you're allowed to come. Like, we completely stopped all of that advertising because we were worried about, like you mentioned earlier, the repercussions were actually pretty severe for infractions of this. And then we also saw that, websites like the NRA and different gun manufacturers were having you put in your birth date before you could even access the website. So for those of you who noticed a while ago, a year or so ago, 2 years ago, that you started having to put your birth date in before you could get to the NRA website, that was partially because of this decision, because they wanted to make sure that minors weren't able to access the website, as the law was so unclear as far as what was considered advertising to minors. So then, people were concerned about, oh, well, what if we sell a 22 that's pink or a 22 that looks, child-sized? Is that automatically a violation because we're advertising a firearm specifically for the use among minors? So it was a really interesting overreach. I thought there was no chance it was going to stay, and it looks like it turned out okay for us, but it was definitely a weird time there for a while. And so I'm excited that it's gone for now and hopefully forever, and we'll be advertising more mom and me classes and stuff like that in the future because of this decision. So
it's fantastic. Yeah, I work with youth in a variety of different ways. Within the homeschool community, I work with a number of homeschool groups and things, and every year I would take groups of homeschool youth, teach them safety, because really what this is preventing us from teaching them safety.
Yeah.
Right? Kids can't buy guns, right? Really what this is preventing instructors from being able to teach kids to respect and to have safe, proper handling of a firearm when they have the permission to do so, right? It's not, it's preventing safety, which I have a problem with. I'm so thankful that it's come through the way it's come through, and it's about time.
Yeah, I was getting a lot of phone calls from different clubs and organizations, and they were really, truly worried. It's amazing how many gun safety classes there are for kids, which I think is a good thing. Teaching kids how to stay safe with firearms is exactly the whole point. That's exactly the preventative measure we should be taking.
Right.
And making people into criminals, into lawbreakers for teaching kids how to be safe.
Right.
And like the judge said, forcing silence on an opinion that you disagree with and using the force of government to do that. That whole thing is so fetid and gross. I'm really glad that this got struck down.
Yeah, there's something, I think this just happened a few days ago. I saw some headlines about it, but there's something similar where I think Canik was advertising on a billboard in Oakland, and there's some kind of city rule that basically says you can't advertise anything to do with firearms or ammunition without a permit from like the Oakland PD. And so Canik had to take down the billboard. And it's like, at what point are these First Amendment, violations of speech and even advertising, at what point are these going to be something that's just unacceptable, that cities can't get away with passing those kinds of laws because nobody will stand for that. So we'll see. This is a good step in the right direction, I think.
Hey, thanks for watching Gun Owners Radio. I hope you loved that clip. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and follow us on social media. And check out our website at gunownersradio.com.